Hello, this is Justin Seven. I wanted to talk a little bit about Notre Dame football. First, they're coming off a really good week. They routed Nevada 35-0, but the score doesn't always tell the whole story, and a lot has changed in the last year. One of the biggest things that's changed is quarterback Clausen. During the game, he was 15 for 18 passes, 314 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks, combined passer rating of 158, which is almost unheard of.
Clausen back to pass, looking for the end zone, rightfully to Floyd. All right, Scooter, 2nd and 1, and Clausen swings it complete to Floyd, and Michael Floyd uses his blockers. He's down the sideline. Michael Floyd goes for the touchdown.
Some of you might say, well, Nevada had the worst pass defense in the country last year. Maybe Clausen was just, beating up kids. And while it's true that they had the worst pass defense, he had the highest quarterback rating of any quarterback in the last year against them, with a rating of 158. Michigan will obviously pose more of a defensive test for Clausen than did Nevada, but on the other hand, this is his 3rd year. He has some experience. One other thing to consider about the Nevada game, Weiss took his heel off the accelerator. In the 4th quarter, Clausen didn't even play. Basically, it was just run, 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 run. How did Notre Dame do offensively in the trenches, running the ball? Their running performance was average. They gained 169 yards rushing on 40 attempts for an average of 4.2 yards a carry. If you exclude the 4th quarter, though, it was actually 4.7 yards a carry. A lot of times in what I'll call garbage time in the 4th quarter, the other team knows you're going to run it. You're going to run it. They put up their run defense, and you just run it. You're just trying to run out the clock and not embarrass them. And that's not very good as far as predicting how they'll do in the future. So for grading purposes, I'd say 4.7 yards a carry, and you want to get 4.5 to 5 to be, I'm gonna call it, somewhat effective on the run. On the other side of the trench, on the defensive side, Notre Dame had some challenges. Nevada put up 194 yards rushing on 30 attempts. That's an average of 6.5 yards a carry. And if you look, you see Notre Dame taking a lot of chances. You see them blitzing linebackers. A recurring theme you see several times is that there's a loss of containment. There's several times when the running back or the quarterback is breaking contain.
Another running play. Tawa again. Turn to the Irish, and here he is on the field at cornerback. Kaepernick scrambling. There are those big, long, galloping strides as he goes to 10 and 15, Wolfpack. Kaepernick keeps. Dives forward to the 20.
I don't think Notre Dame's defensive line is a BCS championship grade front four. I mean, they're good, but they're not putting the pressure on the quarterback, and they're not making the tackles, on the up the middle runs that you'd expect from a front four. And if you look at, how other major teams are doing it, the front four get a lot of pressure. But Notre Dame has compensated for that by playing more aggressively with the linebackers. You're seeing more blitzes, more stunts. You can only do this, though, if you have a secondary that you're comfortable with. And here's where Notre Dame has made perhaps the biggest progress off season, and that is in the strengthening of their secondary. The safeties here are not just playing good pass defense, they're making very effective open field tackles. Now, if you trust your secondary to do this, where you don't mind leaving them man-to-man, or where they're the last person back, you can take a lot more chances. And that's what you're seeing here. With all these blitzes, you're having one of two things happen. Either the Nevada was getting a pretty big gain if they guessed right on the blitz, or they're getting stuffed and it's 2nd and 10. If you don't have the front four that can put up continuous pressure, by playing this kind of gamble, where you're either going to have 1st and 10, or I'm going to get lucky, hit you, stuff you 2nd and 10, and now I have you in a hopeful pass situation. This type of aggressive defense, it'll give up a lot of rushing yards, but where it'll pay dividends is when you put them into passing situations where they have to pass on a strong secondary. And in this game, Nevada was 2 for 11 on 3rd down conversions, and I would actually attribute that to Notre Dame's defensive strategy. Michigan is starting freshman Forcier, and he's a very dangerous quarterback, though. He's mobile, has shown good judgment, and I want to show you this one clip of him here. I expect Notre Dame's defense to attempt to force Forcier to throw into confusing situations. That is, they're getting some pressure from a linebacker, he has to scramble, he has to throw into a coverage and perhaps throw into an area where he doesn't see one of the defenders, where you have either double coverage or you have a zone where someone is in an unexpected place. Michigan surprised a lot of people, basically routing Western Michigan. They were up 31-0 before they slowed it down, won 31-7. A scary stat from the game, Western Michigan with 24 rushes had only 38 rushing yards. So Michigan's only giving up a little over 1.5 yards per rush. What are Notre Dame's keys to winning this? First, they have to let Clausen be Clausen and pass the ball effectively. Rushing yards are not nearly as important as passing in this matchup as long as Notre Dame is able to keep running the ball. If they run it and only pick up 1 yard or 2 or 3, even though it's not helping them on the field that much, it keeps all the defensive backs off the field. Defensively, Notre Dame cannot get pushed out of the trenches by Michigan's offensive line. Michigan rushed for 242 yards against Western Michigan. For Notre Dame to be competitive, they're going to have to keep Michigan under about 150 yards rushing. Second key on defense, they're going to have to force Forcier to pass into bad defensive coverages, where you're looking at 3rd and 6 or longer. Your typical quarterback will throw an interception about every 25 or 30 passes. But when you're throwing into these 3rd and long situations against a lot of defensive backs, the interception rate almost triples. In addition to interceptions, you get sacks. All kinds of bad things happen to teams that are faced with a lot of 3rd and long situations. And I think Notre Dame will give up running yards. They'll give up a lot of first downs trying to gamble to force the 2nd and 3rd and long situations. Right now, the current spread in this game is Notre Dame minus 3 points. It's very tough to evaluate teams this early, especially when both teams have only played one game against an opponent that was much weaker. In both cases, Notre Dame and Michigan pretty much routed their opponents. But if I had to take a side, I'm not going to surprise you here. I'd take Notre Dame minus the points.